Unexplored regions of our world are home to isolated tribes. Living apart from global society, these people are heard to have developed remarkably and even have superhuman abilities. Who are they? Prepare to be shocked as this tribe's daily life breaks every scientific law we know. Mochin People. First up, we have the Mochin people that drift between islands in the Andaman Sea, living most of their lives on the water. There are no fences or addresses here. The Mochin don't live in one place. They live in motion. Their world shifts with the wind, the current, and the call of the sea. For generations, they have followed those rhythms, diving deep, fishing smart, and living off whatever the ocean was ready to offer. But as calm as it may seem, their lifestyle is balancing on the edge. What sets the Mochin apart isn't just their sailing skills. It's how completely the sea is woven into their lives. From the moment they can walk, Mochin children begin to train their eyes for signs in the water. They learn to see underwater like many of us see on land, not with goggles or gear, but by controlling their own eyes. It is a skill sharpened by practice and not something that they are born with. Day after day, they dive down with steady hands and calm hearts, scanning the sea floor for clams, sea cucumbers, and flickers of silver darting through the blue. To them, the ocean is full of signs, shapes, and stories. It is only through practice, memory, and shared time on the waves that allows these people to pass forward this particular art. For centuries, Mochin families lived on boats called kabang. These are handcrafted floating homes where every plank and curve had a purpose. They slept on them, cooked on them, and raised children on them. When the storms came, they sheltered near the islands. When the skies cleared, they set off again. Then came the shift. In recent decades, laws and policies started nudging the Mochin off their boats and onto land. New rules replaced old freedoms. Governments introduced ID cards, citizenship records, and permanent housing. The Mochin never asked for any of it. Concrete walls replaced wooden decks. Their fishing grounds were carved up by regulations. But the Mochin remember. December 26, 2004. That day, something in the sea felt off. The waves pulled back, the birds flew strange, and the stillness was thick. While others hesitated, the Mochin moved. Their elders had warned them that when the sea goes quiet, run for deep water. They paddled out, fast and without panic. And when the tsunami hit, they survived. Not by luck, but by listening. Their stories had kept them alive. But today, those same stories are in danger of being forgotten. As more children grow up in concrete houses, away from the pull of the tide, their skill of sensing waters is slowly fading as well. There are fewer than 3,000 Mochin left. Some are still out there, holding on, teaching kids how to dive, how to read the sky, how to carve a boat that can ride the storms. Others are now living far from the sea, in villages with jobs that have nothing to do with the water. Their stories get quieter, and with every passing year, the pressure to change only grows stronger. Yet the spirit of the Mochin has not vanished. In small pockets of the archipelago, families are passing down the old ways. Elders sit with young ones, guiding their hands, retelling the stories. Some are working with researchers to document their language and traditions before they disappear. The tide is rising and the clock is ticking, but there is still movement on the water. But what about a particular tribe which not only lives on land, but keeps moving on it from place to place? Hodza Tribe. This is a unique quality that you'll find in the Hodza Tribe. Deep in northern Tanzania, near the salty edges of Lake Eyasi, lives a group that time has barely touched. The Hodza people are one of the last hunter-gatherer tribes on Earth, and they're definitely not inside of a museum. They are living and breathing right this very instant. Every sunrise brings a fresh hunt, a new challenge, and a different rhythm to the day. But just beyond the trees, the world is shifting fast, and the Hodza tribe is feeling the effects. The forest is their grocery store, their map, and their school. Without fences or farms, the Hodza wake up with the sun and follow its lead. Men go out to hunt with bows carved from local trees and arrows tipped with poison made from desert plants. They move fast and quiet, listening for the chatter of monkeys or the footfall of antelope. Every hunt is a puzzle, and no two are the same. Women, on the other hand, are busy with their own kind of tracking, being occupied with digging for tubers, picking berries, gathering honey. Nothing is wasted with every find shared and every meal earned. And here's what keeps scientists watching closely. The Hodza's way of life might be ancient, but their health stats are catching modern researchers off guard. With no gyms, no diets, and no supplements, the Hodza still manage to have some of the healthiest hearts on the planet. Their gut bacteria is also off the charts. It is diversely linked to how they eat, move, and live in sync with nature. But as more land is cleared for farming or tourism, that healthy balance is at risk. Some of the wild foods they depend on are harder to find. Forests are shrinking. Roads cut through old trails. Even so, the Hodza aren't giving up their way of life without a fight. They speak a unique language full of clicks and tones that has been passed down through stories, songs, and jokes told around the fire. There's no written script, no schools, no official teachers. But the lessons move from generation to generation. Every child learns by doing, by watching, by trying. And even with pressures from the outside world, many Hodza are still choosing the old path, sleeping under the stars and moving with the season. But tension is growing. Some Hodza communities are being pushed into towns where their skills don't always match modern jobs. Others are told they need to settle down, grow crops, and get paperwork. Yet their identity isn't tied to property. It's tied to movement, to freedom, to know where the bees hide their honey and which root tastes sweetest after the rains. Speaking of people who moved, there has also been a tribe that has given birth to a country. Maui Tribe. Long before the British ships arrived on the shores of Aotearoa, now better known as New Zealand, one other tribe had already marked their flag in this area. These were the Maori, skilled navigators and fierce protectors of their homeland. They crossed oceans in double-hulled canoes, guided by stars and ocean swells, bringing with them a rich culture that still pulses through the islands today. But their journey continues even today. The heart of Maori life is Wanau, which simply means family. However, this idea stretches beyond bloodlines. It includes ancestors, the land, and future generations. Every carving, every tattoo, every chant ties one generation to the next. In a meeting house or marae, stories echo off the wooden walls. These are not just decorations or performances. They are living memories that are wrapped in rhythm and shown to the world through dance. One of the most powerful expressions of Maori identity is the haka, a thunderous mix of stomping, chanting, and fierce eye contact. It is not only for rugby games. Haka were once performed before battles to build strength and warn enemies. Today, they are also used in weddings, funerals, protests, and ceremonies. Basically any moment that calls for unity and power. But there is more behind the haka than just strength. It demands presence. Everyone joins in. Yet not long ago, the Maori were being pushed to the edge of their own story. Starting in the 19th century, colonization took its toll. Land was taken and cultural practices were labeled as savage. Generations of Maori children were punished for speaking their own language. By the mid-20th century, the number of fluent Maori speakers had dropped dangerously low. In the 1970s, a powerful wave of resistance rose. Maori leaders, activists, and elders pushed back. They marched and they demanded space for their language, land, and culture. From those efforts came major wins: the founding of Maori language schools, the return of sacred lands, and a formal acknowledgement of the Treaty of Waitangi. This was a key agreement signed in 1840, though long ignored. The movement sparked a cultural comeback that is still gaining momentum. Today, Te Reo Maori, which is the Maori language, is making a strong return. Young Maori are learning the language their grandparents were told to forget. It is being spoken in homes, sung in songs, and broadcast on national TV. The haka is now taught in classrooms. Traditional tattooing, known as tamoko, is no longer hidden. Instead, it is worn with pride, not shame. The Maori story refuses to fade. Instead, it grows louder, more visible, and more rooted. Whether it is a student learning their first words of tereo or a grandparent passing down a haka, the cycle continues. The past does not stay locked in museums because for the Maori, it simply cannot. Unlike the Maui Tribe, which is loud and expressive, the Skeleton Tribe does not expose itself unless required. Skeleton Tribe. The Chimbu Nation, among the mist-shrouded highlands of Papua New Guinea, is known as the Skeleton Tribe. The Skeleton Tribe members reserve their feelings of affection for their people. As for the outsiders, they're not welcome in the lands of the Skeleton Tribe. These people start their day with sunlight creeping over their mountains. All tribal members approach their daily tasks with determination, as both men and women care for their gardens and prepare food while teaching the younger generation their cultural traditions. Taro and sweet potatoes and yams are their main crops, which grow in agricultural terraces along mountain slopes. During their early childhood, children learn about planting vegetables, harvesting practices, and developing a holy attitude towards the fields that sustain them. Body artwork is the distinctive cultural trademark distinguishing the skeleton people from other communities. Special ceremonies allow men to transform into living skeletons through body painting in black and white colors. The original purpose of this traditional body art was to make enemy defenders believe the warriors held mystical powers by appearing as ghostly spirits. The patterns in their body artwork are outstanding because each stroke communicates powerful stories about strength. Before and during these ceremonies, the tribe members undergo body modifications to affirm their shared identity. Through this practice, the tribe establishes contact between its historical and current periods. The Chimbu village combines social connections with labor activities as the main elements of regular daily existence. The community's elders unite to exchange stories that transfer wisdom and knowledge within oral conventions. Kids engage in play-based learning activities while they absorb significant abilities and cultural values they will need. Music and dance with storytelling appear at community events that strengthen the social connections among members. As a core value of Chimbu culture, the people strongly focus on communal unity, so each member supports complete group success. Spirituality exists throughout every aspect that makes up the life of this tribe. They hold a deep respect for their ancestors and the spirits believed to inhabit the natural world. Rituals and ceremonies are conducted to honor these spirits, seeking guidance and protection. The skeleton body paint has become a symbol of this spiritual connection, representing the thin veil between the physical and spiritual realms. The Chimbu's unique cultural practices have garnered attention beyond their highland homes. Visitors are often drawn to their vibrant ceremonies and the striking visual impact of the skeleton body art. However, for the Chimbu, these traditions are not performances for outsiders, but integral expressions of their heritage and identity. They continue to live according to the rhythms of their ancestors, maintaining a way of life that honors the past while embracing the present. Another tribe which values tradition and always keeps their ancestors in high regard is the Maui Tribe. Maui Tribe. The Maui people occupy every region of the Kenyan and Tanzanian territories. The Maui Tribe stands out because of their tribal dress and cultural practices that merge with environmental connections to their social structure. The Maui Tribe values their livestock to no end, especially the cattle. Maui people value cattle more than livestock because these animals provide them with food. These cattle also define their wealth status while being fundamental to their cultural identity. Daily routines start with caring for herds while leading them to feed and providing proper care. The pastoral way of life demonstrates how strongly the people tie themselves to their natural surroundings. Similar to their customs, the elements of the Maui traditional appearance stand out just as much as their daily routines. Maui men and women in traditional red and blue garments stand out prominently due to their shuka clothing in their savanna habitat. Every bead piece on their bodies reveals a personal narrative that represents their status and achievements and their age. The practice of stretching and decorating earlobes represents a cultural expression that all Maui men and women practice. Music and dance represent essential cultural elements for the Maasai people. Their musical expressions, which start with a solo voice that harmonizes with others, create more than musical entertainment while functioning as historical record keepers and value educators. Young warriors participate in the Adumu dance by jumping above ground to achieve maximum vertical height. Maasai society values itself as a community. People residing in Nkangs live in homesteads which maintain family cooperation for common responsibilities. As an essential part of the Maasai community, women accomplish multiple duties, which include home construction, preparing food, and infant care. Traditions continue through their work, which also supports the overall wellness of their community. Religion is fundamental to how the Maasai people live their lives. They worship Enkai, a deity embodying both benevolence and wrath, reflecting the duality of nature itself. Rituals and ceremonies mark significant life events, reinforcing their beliefs and strengthening communal bonds. The resilience of this group is like no other. Although their customs set them apart in a rapidly changing world, their lifestyle is like no other. Like all other tribes in this list, they too indulge in acts honoring their ancestors. While the Maasai value aesthetics, appearance, and culture, the Korai Tribe, on the other hand, are best known for being sharp hunters. Korai Tribe. Tucked away in the dense forests of southeastern Papua, the Korai Tribe lives a life far removed from the modern world. For generations, they have thrived in isolation, building homes that seem to defy logic. They are perched on wooden stilts or wedged into the canopies of towering trees. This unique style of living is not just for the view. These high tree houses protect them from the constant buzz of mosquitoes, slithering snakes, and enemies too. But more than that, they believe the forest is inhabited by roaming spirits, particularly after dark. These elevated homes act as a shield from the supernatural forces that they believe walk below them at night. Korai tree houses are feats of raw, instinctive engineering. Built without modern tools, they are constructed using materials sourced directly from the jungle. Bamboo, thick tree trunks, vines, and the broad leaves of the sago palm are their building blocks. A well-built treehouse can take several weeks to complete and, with care, can last several years. While the average home sits anywhere from 3 to 10 meters above the ground, some of the tallest reach up to 40 meters. Those extreme builds, however, are mostly about pride. Young men often take on the challenge to build these sky-high homes to boost their status within the community. Once the job is done, a feast is held in their honor, and their reputation rises. But these houses are often too inconvenient to live in for long. Families stick to more practical heights where everyday life can unfold a little more easily. Daily life in the Korai tribe revolves around nature and survival. Their staple food is the sago palm, a starchy plant that they harvest and process into a paste or pancake-like food. The work is labor-intensive, where men cut down the palm, women and children extract the pulp, and the community comes together to prepare it. Hunting also plays a big role in their diet. They use bows, arrows, and traps to catch small animals like birds, wild pigs, and even large insects. Fishing is done with spears and handmade lines in nearby rivers and streams. What they lack in material possessions, they make up for with knowledge of the forest. The Korai navigate their world with confidence and clarity. The Korai are not just survivalists, they are a deeply structured society. Though they do not have a formal governing body, leadership comes from age, experience, and wisdom. Elders make decisions and settle disputes. Clans are the core of their social system, with each clan owning its own land and sago trees. This ownership is respected, and using another clan's resources without permission can cause serious conflict. Despite this, the Korai are not known for being violent. Compared to neighboring tribes like the Asmat, they are considered relatively peaceful. They prefer to resolve issues through discussion and traditional customs rather than confrontation. One subject that often sparks debate among outsiders is the claim that the Korai practice cannibalism. When they were first contacted by outsiders in the late 1970s, reports surfaced that the tribe had been known to unalive and eat individuals they accused of being witches or kakua. These figures were believed to be humans possessed by evil spirits, bringing sickness and death to the tribe. In such cases, the accused was dealt with by the community, and in certain stories, devoured as a form of spiritual retribution. Some anthropologists believe it was ritualistic and symbolic, not practiced as a regular part of life. Others suggest that early reports may have been influenced by miscommunication or even performances staged for curious visitors. Today, if such practices exist, they are extremely rare or hidden from outsiders altogether. Spirituality runs deep in Korai life. Illness and misfortune are rarely seen as natural. Instead, they are attributed to the work of invisible spirits or black magic. These spirits, believed to disguise themselves as people, are blamed for unexplained deaths. To protect themselves, the Korai turn to their own system of traditional medicine, rituals, and sometimes exorcism-like ceremonies. Certain areas of the forest are considered haunted or cursed and are strictly avoided. These taboos are passed down across generations and followed without question. Today, some Korai have moved into riverside villages where they have limited access to goods like rice, coffee, and sugar. These areas offer access to basic medicine and simple tools, attracting families looking for a slightly easier life. But many still prefer their ancestral way of life, deep in the forest, where they continue to live in tree houses, follow ancient customs, and teach the next generation how to live in rhythm with the jungle. Unlike settlers in the villages, traditional Korai families live as nomads, moving every few years when local sago supplies run out. Being frequent movers, they leave behind a lot of things. However, that only goes to show that they do not value material possessions enough to take them along. The Korai are one of the last communities on Earth that live so close to the land that they only answer to nature. Like the Korai, the Pygmies are also given qualities by nature which they use to navigate their way in forests and parts unknown. Pygmies of Congo. Hidden under the dense canopy of the Central African rainforest live communities whose daily rhythm has remained in sync with the forest for centuries. These people, the Mbuti, the Aka, the Baka, and the Twa, aren't just surviving in one of the world's most challenging environments. They're thriving, with deep knowledge, nimble adaptation, and traditions passed down through generations. What instantly sets them apart is their height. With the tallest among them rarely exceeding 5 feet, the so-called Pygmy peoples have physical traits thought to help them navigate the forest with unmatched efficiency. But don't mistake small stature for small lives. These communities live big in ways that count. Their lives are anchored in tight-knit bands of 15 to 70 people. But that number isn't fixed. It shifts based on the availability of game, illness outbreaks, and how close they are to trade routes or village connections. That kind of flexibility allows them to adapt quickly, moving when resources run dry. And when they leave, the forest bounces back almost immediately. Because when they clear a spot for temporary huts, they only cut small plants and saplings, never the towering trees. This careful approach keeps the upper forest intact. When they settle, their homes rise quickly. Imagine small dome-shaped huts made from saplings bent into shape and covered with shingled tree leaves. Their look is strikingly similar to the domed homes of the Arctic Inuit. And just like their architecture, every part of their day is designed with purpose. Men spend hours in search of bushmeat or honey, and sometimes even climbing more than 100 feet into trees to find hives. Smoke stuns the bees just long enough for them to reach in and gather the golden prize. Women, on the other hand, focus on gathering, trekking through the underbrush with wide baskets strapped to their backs. But while their methods are ancient, these forest dwellers are no strangers to outside contact. For part of the year, many families set up camp near villages. There they trade honey, bushmeat, or labor for cassava, vegetables, tools, or cloth. These exchanges aren't just one-off deals. Forest families often form bonds with specific village families, and those bonds last. In many cases, the same two families will stay linked for generations while depending upon each other. Still, not everything about their lives is smooth. The very word pygmy was never their own. Instead, It was pinned on them by colonial outsiders from Belgium and France, and many consider it offensive. Even though international groups like the United Nations use it, most forest communities prefer to be known by their actual ethnic names: Mbuti, Ba'aka, Aka, or Twa. Assaro Mudmen. The Assaro Mudmen have become famous for a tradition unlike any other. This tribe inhabits Papua New Guinea near the Assaro River. Their name is drawn from the river they call home, with small communities scattered around Goroka. Though divided into various tribes and clans, they remain closely connected by shared history, ritual, and their use of the Dano dialect, a language spoken only in this small pocket of the world. What truly sets the Assaro apart is the legend behind their iconic holosas, which are mud masks that look like something out of a dream. As the story goes, the Assaro were once ambushed by a rival tribe. In an attempt to escape, they dived into the muddy waters of the Assaro River. Emerging cloaked in white clay, they were mistaken for spirits by their enemies, who fled in panic. From that moment, the Assaro leaned into the myth, crafting haunting masks out of clay, adorned with tusks, stones, and sharp features. They'd wear them while covering their bodies in gray mud, adding bamboo extensions to their fingers, and moving in eerie, deliberate ways to amplify the supernatural effect. Even today, the Assaro wear these masks during public festivals and cultural gatherings. No two masks are the same. Each is handmade, an artistic expression straight from the creator's imagination. Painted or left raw, they're theatrical, unsettling, and deeply symbolic. At the heart of Assaro life are sing-sing ceremonies that are vibrant cultural gatherings where tribes come together to perform traditional dances, chant ancestral songs, and wear stunning costumes. Through rhythmic movement, layered drumming, and dramatic storytelling, the dances bring history to life. Myths, legends, and tribal tales are passed from generation to generation, preserving culture in motion. Beyond their artistry and performance, the Assaro are expert farmers. Sweet potatoes are their staple, and generations of knowledge have taught them how to coax rich harvests from highland soil. They farm with care, guided by an enduring belief that the spirits of their ancestors live in the land itself. Doon Tribe. The Dogon of Mali carved out a world that stood apart. It was isolated, fiercely independent, and steeped in mystery. For centuries, they resisted outside influence, settling in high-altitude villages that were nearly impossible to reach. This isolation wasn't by chance. Faced with slave raids and labeled infidels under Islamic law, during the 13th and 15th century, the Dogon sought refuge where invaders could not easily follow. That resistance became the heartbeat of their culture. Today, around 400,000 Dogon people continue to live in harmony with the land. Their lives revolve around subsistence farming, growing millet, sorghum, onions, rice, peanuts, and vegetables. Tobacco is cultivated too, and livestock like goats and chickens are common. After the harvest, villagers often gather to enjoy dolo, a homemade bitter beer brewed from local sorghum. Dogon villages follow a detailed social structure based on kinship and caste. Each caste holds its own trade involving blacksmiths, leather workers, oral historians, wood carvers, and musicians, all have roles that pass down through generations. Community life revolves around unique structures like the House of the Word, where men gather to discuss matters of justice, trade, or politics during the midday heat. The Dogon are best known for their rich artistic and spiritual traditions. Their religion blends ancestor worship and nature reverence, embodied through powerful wooden sculptures and rituals. The most iconic of these is the Sigui, that is a mesmerizing mask and stilt dance that happens only once every 50 years. Timed with the orbit of the star Sirius B around Sirius A, each Sigui demands a fresh mask from every family, symbolizing the passing of tradition. And that cosmic link runs deep. Long before modern astronomy confirmed it, the Dogon believed Sirius was a system of 3 stars, Sirius A, B, and the unseen C. How they knew remains one of science's great unsolved mysteries. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.